Hi everybody, it's Gypsy. First off, I'd just like to let you know I am currently located in my booth at 960 West Main Street, Quartzsite, Arizona. And on the third Saturday of the month, I will be at the craft fair at the Senior Center in Quartzsite, Arizona. So if you're in the area, please stop by and see me. I'd love to meet you in person. Okay, so onto the video. Please excuse my cat. She's playing with her toy. That's what the noise is. She's in a wild mood right now. It's the bewitching hour. Yesterday, I was listening to the news. Yesterday morning. I listened to Morning Wire. And there was, well, I'm going to say a news story, because I found even Morning Wire can pull that one off too. That I've been thinking a lot about. And you know I've spoken on this quite a bit. There is no one group who has the monopoly on our Creator, God, Source, however you want to call it. There is no one people group who has a monopoly on that. There is no one people group who has a monopoly on love. There is no one people group who has a monopoly on having a good family. No one people group who has a monopoly on having morals. Morals is built into us from the day we come in, because we have morals before we come in. That being said, I'm going to play this for you. Hopefully you can hear over Persephone's playing with her little wire toy. And we're going to discuss it as it goes along. I'm very concerned that people would think this. And I'm going to go into the reason why this is happening from a spiritual point of view. From our higher selves in the spirit realm point of view. Close this window, it's chilly. Not from a physical realm point of view where you're thinking with here instead of in here, you know, your intuition and your spirit. So anyways, yeah, this has been bothering me. Okay, here we go.
Fewer Americans identify as religious, with the number of Christians falling from 75% to 63% in just 10 years.
Here to give us the details on this research and what it might mean for the country is Daily Wire reporter Megan Basham. So, Megan, just how steep of a drop are we talking about when it comes to religious affiliation? And which groups are we seeing driving it?
Well, it's a pretty steep drop. It's one thing to think of a 12% decline in a vacuum, but when you contextualize that, you realize just how secular our culture is becoming. So one of the things that stood out to me is that in 2007, Pew found that U.S.
Okay, first of all, I would need an updated version of what secular means. Doesn't mean not spiritual at all, which, how is it even possible if we're spirits incarnated in a physical body? Anything and everything we do is spiritual, even if you think it's evil. You are playing out your role. There's a purpose to it, a learning situation for yourself, whatever. We're spiritual beings. So I'm looking at secular as not being religious. There is a difference between being spiritual and being religious. Now, you can be spiritual without being religious. You can be just religious, or you can be religious and spiritual. Okay, now, they said this study was done by Pew. Right there is a bias, because they, to me, in my opinion, I'm going to say there's a bias. They do studies, I think they're a Christian group. They do studies based on religion. So to me, I feel that could be biased. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I feel about it.
Christians outnumbered the religious nuns, that's people who say they're agnostic, atheist, or nothing in particular, by about 5 to 1. Now, that's fallen down to about 2 to 1, so just in 14 years.
Okay, so this is something that irritates me. People assume if you are not a Christian, well, you're an atheist. You don't believe in God. Now, when I was a Christian in one denomination or another for the first 45 years of my life. When I left Christianity, a good friend of mine assumed I was an atheist. Now, atheists don't believe there's a God, a creator. Am I right about that, John? Yes, Mother, you are. You know I was an atheist before I left the physical realm. Right. So I believe there is a creator. Secondly, if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in an afterlife. Now, me, being a psychic medium, how can I not believe there is a creator? So just because somebody is not a Christian does not make them an atheist. Okay? It's in my face every day. It's in my face. There's an afterlife. Every day. It's obvious to me. And every psychic medium, it's obvious too. That being said, it doesn't make or break you whether you believe there's a God or not. We're all going to the same place, okay? So let's not worry about that issue. Okay.
So that's going to have a lot of impact on us politically and culturally. Because what we see from the research is that people who are leaving...
Again. My mother once told me, my last church I was in, which was an Assemblies of God church, my mother's Roman Catholic, it was an election year, presidential election year. And there was all this talk about politics and political pamphlets and stuff out on the tables at church. When I told my mother about this, what a tea, she got very upset. She goes, why would a church be involved in politics? Should this not be about your spirituality? And that's a good point. Telling your parishioners how to vote should never, ever be a thing. However, I have pointed out that in the past, control of the masses was through the church. Now it's corporations and governments. So, you know, the church is still trying to control. So they all work hand in hand, okay? And that should not be. All right, let's go on.
Christianity, they're not transitioning to some other religion. They're going to nothing. So the majority of that exodus is coming from America's dominant religion, Protestantism. While it claimed 51% of U.S. adults in 2011, only 40% of people describe themselves as some branch of Protestantism today. Catholicism experienced a decline as well, but it was only about 3%, and this study didn't track Mormonism or Judaism specifically, but other recent research has shown them holding pretty much steady.
So any indication about what's driving this drop-off?
Well, the Pew survey doesn't really delve into that, but historically, research on this topic has shown that economic prosperity tends to equate to secularization. So for decades in the West, the wealthiest nations have also tended to be the most secular. Except that is for the United States. We were kind of that lone, surprising holdout showing that wealth doesn't necessarily lead to significantly less religious faith. Now, we're starting to trend in the same direction Europe and Scandinavia have already gone. So in the last decade, our religiosity has been declining more rapidly than in other rich Western democracies. Though, to be fair, a lot of those nations really didn't have much further to drop. Mm-hmm. In the UK, for example, the percentage of adults who attend church on any given Sunday is now in the low single digits.
Now, I think some people will hear that and they'll say, so what? Why do we care if Americans are less religious?
Well, look, whatever your personal beliefs, declining religious faith naturally corresponds to a decline in church participation. And that's a negative thing for society because church attendance correlates to all kinds of civic good.
No, it doesn't. Now, I'm not saying churches don't do good. They do. They have their ministries and stuff. I know a lot of people who have no specific religion, such as myself. I know a lot of others do good things, do good works, as they say in church. I really had a hard time with that. Now, first of all, the reason you go to church is to be brainwashed. Just like the reason you watch the news, you watch these shows, you listen to the news programs, especially you listen to the governments, you listen to commercials to be brainwashed. You're not thinking for yourself. And let me tell you, when it comes to your spirituality, thinking for yourself is so important. It's okay to go to church and you listen to what the pastor has to say. If it's not resonating, if it doesn't sit right with you, doesn't feel right in here, then you let it go. No, there are plenty of good people. They don't have to be Christians. They don't have to be sitting in a pew every Sunday and then some. So many good people out there willing to help others. All right, let's move on. I'm going to tell you why.
Just a few examples. Religious people tend to have higher birth rates, which expands the tax base and provides more workers for future economies. They also smoke and drink less, putting less strain on health systems.
Bullshit. I belong to an Assemblies of God church. I wasn't the only one who snuck a cigarette or had a drink every once in a while. Yeah, and there were some doing drugs, all right? Do not listen to these lies. Some people do, and some people don't. I'm not judging anybody. It should never be judged. I'm sorry, I don't believe this. All right, I'm sorry, everyone. And if you're a Christian, I'm sorry. I'm not... This is what I call prejudice. They're prejudice toward Christians being perfect, and their prejudice of non-Christians, well, just being lazy, good-for-nothing drug addicts and drunkards. And I'm sorry, I have trouble with stuff like this.
Regular church attenders divorce much less, causing less disruption to the family structure, which results in statistically much more positive outcomes for children. On a personal level, actively religious people also tend to have much higher community engagement. They're more conscientious about voting and volunteering. A huge percentage of local charity organizations are affiliated with churches and religious denominations. So the amount of care provided in a community for people who are struggling with, say, poverty, addiction, or mental health issues, all of that is strongly connected to the outreach of local churches. And on an individual level, research shows that people who are active in religious congregations are typically happier.
Bullshit.
So the takeaway here is go to church.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Go to church.
Okay. I used to spend, I don't know how many days a week at church. I was so depressed. It's a hard thing to live up to, being a Christian. And there were not very many I met who were doing a great job of it. And in fact, I really don't believe anybody was. Because everybody's putting on pretenses. Not really where I wanted to go with this, but hearing this stuff upsets me. There are plenty of non-church goers who have huge hearts. From all different walks of life, all different cultures, other religions, and those who don't have a religion per se. Okay? Now, I want to explain why this is happening. I'm sorry about my hair's all over the place today. On a higher level, spiritually, what is happening is the day of the guru is gone. The day of having a savior is gone. People are advancing spiritually. Okay? And that's what religion should have been helping people with, advancing spiritually. However, what I saw in my lifetimes here on this planet is a lot of brainwashing and holding people back. And that includes this lifetime, holding people back spiritually. So that is gone. Okay? Nobody... And when I say saving, I mean on a spiritual level. Yes, we all have something to offer spiritually. And that's what's great about the internet. We can get out there and talk about this stuff. And each one of us talks about a different part of spirituality. What's going on in the world today, etc. A different part of what they call waking up. Okay, so we all talk about that. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, God. But what we never ever want to be as a guru, I certainly don't. And like I always say, if I say something that doesn't resonate you, even in this video, resonate with you, even in this video right here, let it go. Just leave it. You don't have to believe it. But first of all, we need to know we are good enough as we are right now. You don't have to be a particular religion or anything else. We come from Source God itself. We are part and parcel. We are peace, and we have God within us. The kingdom of God is within. We are a piece of that Creator. So it's in there. Stop listening to the lies, okay? And if you're a Christian and you like it and it's working for you, great. Go with it. Keep going with it. But don't ever believe that anybody has a monopoly on this. Now, the days of the guru are gone, okay? Because we now have advanced to the point that we are expected to go within, okay? Look within, which means contacting your higher self, that higher part of you that it resides in the spirit realm. And this is the truth. When you are doing this, you can feel, it's time to charge the phone. You can feel when something is spiritually right or not, and whether or not it's right for you. Please remember, like I told a young woman I met today, your spiritual path is personal and unique to you. It is not one size fits all. I know so many witches doing good works. Yes, everybody, witches, because we are not evil. We do not worship a devil we don't believe in. Okay? We got to do a video about Satan one day, because there is something so wrong with that story. And that's what it's about. That's why people are leaving religion. A lot of the people today either came in already advanced or have advanced so much, so quickly in this lifetime. They don't need religion, okay? They are very spiritual people. They can see and they can hear and they can discern. Okay, I'm sorry when I don't even want to go there, but this was very judgmental, which should never be done. Okay, you're judging everybody who is not like you, which would mean you'd have to be judging, well, everybody else, because nobody else is like you. All right, we have advanced that much that people are leaving organized religion. Okay? Now, you might have a mentor you talk to, a mentor you look up to, you might listen to various videos, etc., and that's great. But they're not your guru. Okay? When I first started awakening, I watched Teal Swan all the time. To me, she was a mentor. But she's not my guru. There are no gurus. Okay? And please don't ever believe that one group of people are the only ones who have good families, are good fathers, are good mothers, are good people. That's a lie in and of itself. We're all born inherently good. We are. So yeah, I had trouble with this, and the very fact it was done by Pew. Okay, they're trying to get people back into church. So that wasn't very partial. All right, I'm just angry with the holier than thou attitude. I hear a lot. Okay, I am. I know many witches, pagans, atheists, etc., who are much kinder and loving than most Christians I have met, especially my last church. Okay? There is no monopoly. Nobody has a monopoly on this stuff. And every group has its bad apples. And we have a tendency to focus on the bad apples. Let's not do that. So I am going to forget, now that I've done this video, and explain to you guys why people are leaving organized religion. Because it is very Am I right, guys? John? Yeah, Mom, you are right. People are waking up to the fact you don't even need, well, I'm going to say, well, hold on. I'm hearing both. I wanted to say nobody really needs anybody else to tell them how to live their life on a spiritual basis. Right. Not even an ascended master like Jesus. Right. You were right. You have to look within and become more aware of your true self, the higher self in the spirit realm. Connect with that. Meditation. Right. Clearing the mind. Right. And yes, there are many people out there, well, like you and Till and JP Sears. I love him. He does it comically. Right. Oh. What? Yeah. So many out there. Right, Mom. And that's what they're here for. Well, to teach and talk about these things, but you don't have to take it if it's not, doesn't sound right to you, if it isn't for you, and that's fine. And I like my mother's saying, we're all headed for the same place. We're all on different spiritual paths. We're all on different paths, headed for the same place. I'll see you when we get there. I don't care what religion you are. I'll see you when we get there. Right, Mother. Thanks for taking over. You didn't get it right. Right. So, this is the reason for these statistics. Really has nothing to do with how much money you have or whatever the other reasons are. And yes, you can leave church and I am a better person now than I was when I was in church. I became happier. I got to know who I truly am. I started living my own life, which is not sinful or wild or anything. And I know some of you think so because I call myself a witch and I talk to the dead. Dead. Yeah, guess who's dead? We are, not them. Right. I know some of you think that, but I've never been happier. I live my life the way I want, out in nature. I'm much more outgoing than I used to be. I love who I am now. Okay? That's what was for me. It might not be for you guys, okay? If you need to be an organized religion, fine. But remember, always think critically, think for yourself. Okay? So, I'm going to leave you guys with that to think about that. But that's the real reason. And if you've never been a Christian in your life or you're not one now, don't think less of yourself. You're just as loving as when you were a Christian. You're just as good, and you probably have grown more since then, only because time has passed by through your life. Not because you left the church, because we learned from our experiences. So you've grown more. You're probably, well, more advanced. It has nothing to do with the religion. You're more advanced, okay? Don't think less of yourself because it's something like this. And they say, go to church at the end. If church is not for you, don't go to church. If church is for you, go to church. Okay? It used to irritate me. This past summer, I would drive by this one church in a small town up in Nevada. And it says, your mother called. Your mother called. She wants you to come back to church. And I was like, I know my son and daughter-in-law drove by there because they're truckers. They went up 50. And I thought, my son knows better. He knows his mother didn't go. I tell my son, whatever is working for you at the time spiritually, do that. You find a church, you go to church, fine, go to church. You don't? Fine. Okay? You have to do your thing to be able to grow and find yourself. And when I say find yourself, I'm talking about on a spiritual level, okay? All right. I'm going to leave it there. Yeah. Blessed be, and make it a joyful.